The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Back, Mark Littell's podcast show. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing pretty good. I got some damn meds. I mean, I'm ready to piss on everybody right here. I'm ready to go.
Okay, you had we're joking about it now, but you had kind of a rough week, and what was that about? What were you symptomatic with? How did you know you were having some probs?
I've had triple bypass before. I've had carotid artery surgery before. I've had my legs completely cleaned out. I walk around like nothing's wrong with me, which I guess there is, but my heart is good, but my arteries suck. Mm-hmm. And so my chest had some pains in it for a couple of weeks, and my wife said, I'm tired of it, so you can't get in to see a cardiologist until like June 6th, and so went to the emergency room. They did the blood test. Something's wrong with the enzymes. We're going to admit you because you got chest pains. They find out. They put a catheter, into me, for the angioplasty up the femoral artery. I thought they were going to replace a valve or a stent or two, which I've already had as well, 5 or 6 of them. And
well, I had no idea, Mark, you were going through this over years, I'm assuming.
The triple bypass was 13 years ago. The carotid artery was 2 years after that, and then the legs were about 2.5 years ago. And then, but you know what? I've never been on heart medicine before, ever in my life, until last week. And they didn't put valves in me or anything like that because they said you don't need a valve quite yet, but you don't need a stent, but because the two of the 3 are open, the third one formed the collaterals around, And I said, yeah, I get that. And they said, we're going to put you on this. That it's a nitrate that's built in to open the capillaries constantly. And then the other one, yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
I never even knew that shit exists.
I knew about nitrates, old relatives in my family. Now they're gone, and they were younger than me as we speak. Took those heart disease to open the arteries, temporary relief, but I didn't know it was on a permanent. They had anything where you could just.
The other day.
So did they implant something in you to dispense this at a regular intervals? Oh, it's a pill. It's a pill.
Yeah, and then the other pill I take now is if I actually, because I walked around the block with no pain in my heart, and I had a German short hair, so he walks fast, and so that was a good test, and
right.
I walked at a pretty good clip, and this is a revelation to me because I've never had, for 15 years, I said, wow, this feels great. This is unbelievable. But the second drug was interesting because if your heart pumps too fast and you're like a little bit out of breath, it actually slows it down when you set down quicker so it doesn't push the heart as hard, I guess. I didn't know that even that shit exists, Ralph.
I didn't either, but I'm grateful that your negative symptoms are out of the way. And it sounds to me, did they put you on a regular exercise regimen, or?
Oh, to me, going out to a baseball field, and they know this, they told me this, that's not a regular exercise for you. That's a routine.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can mow the lawn, which, and I like to do that, and that's maybe a little bit of a routine. You walk, you try to eat, somewhat right, so.
And
I do. I mean, I'm not a bad eater, to tell you the truth, but I'm a big guy, and,
right.
I'm 6'3", 230.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but
no. I'm not really overly overweight. I'm probably 10 to 15, maybe. I mean, according to insurance guidelines. whatever.
Well, I'm glad you're back in the saddle, Mark. And I thought maybe through all this week, baseball and what's going on in the first week of the season, first 2 weeks, may have sparked some interest in you. And anything you see out there that you'd like to pass on to your faithful on Littell, closing it out with Mark.
How long would you want to do it today? Thanks.
Well, we're doing it. So just another 10 minutes or so would be just tremendous. We check in with you. You really had me worried last week. So I'm glad you're fine.
I appreciate your thoughts on that. The other thing was the teams. I'm sitting here looking at the teams, and of course the Yankees are basically struggling off the bat a little bit, and they were talking about Stanton. And I had some stuff on Facebook and following that. Of course, Boston got off to a little bit of a kick-ass start, and so did obviously. Who's 9-1 right now? Pittsburgh, wasn't it?
Oh, I think it was the New York Mets.
No, it was the Mets.
My New York Mets.
Hey, where are they at right now? Are they 10-1?
They're like 12-1 now, or 11. So they're playing some good ball. But I want to ask you, Mark, do the Yankees have more to worry about their slow start comparatively? It's just first few weeks. It doesn't really mean any more than one puts on it. Should they be more concerned about that or Boston's very, very fast start?
That's a good point, because I was thinking about the same thing, and I've seen how those start out sometimes and how they end up.
Right.
So we can go right into that.
Well, Stanton. For a fact that Stanton's going to be there. He doesn't seem like.
I'd like to talk about him when we start this whole process.
All right, if you would, why don't you talk about him now? And we've got.
You want to start are we on the show right now, or?
Mark, we've been on it. I introduced you.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry.
Well, that's all right. You're doing great. We're just talking. We're just chatting.
You can cut that out. Then it's good.
Cut the old shit out. That'd be hard to do. The other things need cutting out.
Touch up. Yeah, the touch ups. Like, am I on? Okay, now I know I'm on. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, talking about Stanton and the New York Mets and all this other stuff. The Mets got off to a great start. They're 12-1 right now. The biggest thing, the Mets struggled for so many years the past year. And then all of a sudden, you see, Thor all of a sudden getting a brain, and he's probably head of some yoga department now instead of some weightlifting school. So, that's fine. That's translated over to the pitching staff. They got a new pitching coach. They got a new strength and coach and trainer and things of that nature. So things running smooth for them. It's only 13, 14 games into the season right now. The Yankees, they're struggling. They're 500 basically, somewhere in there. Is it anything to worry about? No, there's a lot of baseball games left. The other factor is that they've got Stanton and the other two, the big three right there. Well, some New York fans, I'm on some Facebook sites with some New York fans, and I'm sure a lot of people find that unusual, but I actually like to see the fans, how they talk and what they react to, and especially you get the Mets and the Yankees fans together. It's pretty interesting to see them want to fight on some avenue or street side or whatever.
All right.
But beside the point, somebody said, "What about Stanton's slow start?" And I said, Stanton's coming into New York, and it's an adjustment for him. He's probably a little bit anxious. He's probably overswinging. He probably wants to do too much, and he needs to probably do a little bit less, and he'll come out ahead, and he's going to figure that out, and he'll probably have a pretty darn good year after, everything's said and done. But, I think once he gets accustomed to what's going on with, the New York Yankees, the New York scene, and not really giving a shit, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he looks like he's handling it well. He talks right into the camera, and he has his head up, and he's saying things like, I'm watching videos, and I've got this down. Just don't worry about me. And last couple of days, he's looked a little better, getting better at bats. And if you yourself know, New York is a different place to play and pitch than anywhere else. So let's cut him some slack. And he also has FU money.
Exactly. He's under the microscope so much, and he knows how to handle that. And his approach is probably a little bit unstable, or I've got to figure this part out and try to do a little bit less so he can stay loose and and do his thing with the magic wand that he's got.
So if I were to ask Mark Littell, by the end of the season, things will have turned around between Boston and New York. Will two teams meet in the middle for, say, decent years, if not spectacular years? Or do you think? Or what's your prediction?
It's hard to predict, early, and you put yourself on the line. But you pretty much said it right, Ralph. You've got two, darn good teams with ball players. They've got their managements, in line, and it's going to be, a day in, day out. And the funny thing is, I always say this is you've got to watch your swing games, and a swing game is teams. If you have 162 games, and let's just say you get rained out at 2, and you've got 160, and you've got 60 games you're going to lose, you got 60 games you're going to win, and then there's 40 games out there just for grabs. So those 40 games are the games that are won by 2 runs or less. Those are called swing games, and then that's the teams that go to the playoffs and go even maybe a little bit further. And you watch those games that are won by 2 runs or less at the end of the year and divvy them up, and then you're going to see. So it's boiling down to pitching and defense. I know everybody talks about hitting, but you need to think about defense, pitching, and also base running, which is one of the other things that tells somebody that you've got a pretty good ball player. If a guy can run a base, if he's a really good base runner, he's a really good ball player then, because he understands the game.
Mark, you always felt good if you had a shortstop behind you, and both the Mets and the Yankees now seem to really have solidity and some more range than certainly with Jeter, as far as Didi taking over at short. That's a big thing, isn't it? Just the shortstop, the range of the shortstop and what have you. You're a pitcher, you want to know if you get a ground ball that you're either going to get 2 or get that 1 or whatever. It's got to be frustrating when you get your pitch, get your swing, and the ball trickles through the infield. As a pitcher, am I correct?
Well, exactly. Derek Jeter was known for the 5-6 hole thing. That's his whole makeup right there. Is what was Derek Jeter known for? Well, he makes the 5-6 play between third and short.
Right.
And you look at Ozzie Smith that I was fortunate to have. I was also fortunate to have Gary Templeton. He was another good shortstop. I also had Freddie Podsnip on the American League side with the Royals. So yes, I was blessed with really good shortstops. And now you ask that same question, and yes, you do need that shortstop. But it's like Herzog or any other manager knows this. If you're not strong up the middle, you're up shit creek.
Right.
Basically. So your center fielder, your shortstop, your second baseman, those guys that can turn the double play, and then the catcher, of course, and then whichever pitcher you got stuck out there. So, if your middle relief sucks, you can pretty much kiss a lot of it goodbye. because right now you've got guys that go maybe 6 innings at the most, and then you've got to find a guy or two that can eat up or come in and get somebody out of a jam, and then somebody that can actually close that game out. So so if you've got 3 pitchers on your team that are legitimate starters and a closer, you're probably going to go to the playoffs for sure. But if you've got 2 pitchers, real pitchers, and then the other 3, well, maybe so, and then you've got a hit and miss closer, then it's going to be an iffy type of situation. And especially if you don't have a middle relief core coming in there and finishing everything off. So they got to be able to come in there and just shut it down day in and day out, because and you'll be able to throw 40 to 45 times the middle, so in those games.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mark, for breaking it down, and continue to recuperate. You scared us all last week.
Well, it was a little scary, and I think I had a pretty good doctor, and she did a nice job, and she assured me, and she didn't miss a beat when she spoke. She didn't stutter, so I like those kind of doctors.
That's a good thing. If she knew what she was doing, she put you at ease, and that's something they don't teach in med school these days. Is what we used to call bedside manner, and you're in touch with it. You just got out of your process. So important to be relieved, and so important to be talked to and not down to. So I'm glad you got through it. I'm just happy that we have all of us for as long as we do. And mortality sucks, so let's try to stay away from it.
I'll tip my hat to you on that one.
All right,
Ralph. It's good to be back with the people, and hope they're listening in on this, because it's fun to do this with you.
Thank you, Mark. It's fun with you, and we go way back, 35, 37 years now. So something must be going good. Be well, my friend. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good, Ralph.
And if you're listening out there, please do me a favor, and this is on behalf of Mark, whose mom was very much involved with something important to me, and that is the Head Start program. She was one of the first nurses, if not the first nurse, in Head Start. And we're going to ask you to box up some lightly used children's books and take them down to the Head Start program near you. Kids need very much to read. They need to develop an imagination and a purpose and a passion and become school ready. It's real important. So thanks for listening, everybody. And if you do that, it'd be great. Be well. Mark, thank you again. Adios.